Um, harvest bids well below that. We're currently calling, or USDA is currently calling the 2025 um, market year average price, cash price for the marketing year at 390 for corn, 1010 for soybeans. I guess the important thing about that is that and by the way, 390 for the 2025 would compare to 430 for last year for corn, and the 1010 would be about the same, $10 for the current marketing year, or what had just ended actually a couple days ago. So we're down here four-ish for corn, 10 for soybeans, and if I look at future delivery prices and futures contracts, you would be saying that that would be the price for 2026 and keep going out for into 2027. So if you're looking at those prices, I actually sort of think we're here for a while. That if you look at it, we're going to be near a market year average price of 430 for corn, 1040 for soybeans, and both of those are a bit higher than we are now. But we're there for the foreseeable future, and the foreseeable future is 1 year, 1 day, 1 year. It could be 3 years or it could be 5 years. But what we've been keeping significantly above that is an unpredictable event, and that would be something like the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and that increased our prices considerably, and that combined with COVID and a couple other events. And again, what that event is that will increase that is unknown and unpredictable. So again, I guess you would be saying that we have to live with $4 corn and $10 soybeans for the next while. At the same time that we're looking at that $4 corn and $10 soybean price, we have had costs that have risen considerably since 2019. Those costs rose because of higher prices and the factors that led to those higher prices. And essentially, we're not seeing much relief from those prices. When we did our 2026 budgets, we actually increased fertilizer costs for the 2026 year. And if you're looking at fertilizer prices now, they are actually 10 to 14% higher than last year. Pesticides and seeds, about even from last year. We've seen some, you can find prices that are above last year's levels and below last year's levels. So sort of looking at costs that are going to be about the same as last year. And again, what we did see was a dramatic rise in cost in from 2019, 2020 up to 2023. That 2023, we hit record high levels. We've backed off from those record high levels, and most of that reduction has come primarily from fertilizer price reductions. And again, back in 2023, we're at $1,200 anhydrous ammonia. Now we're in the mid 750s for fall our delivery price this fall. So that's better than $1,200, but 750, 730 is still well above where we were at in the 2015 to 2019 period. We have seen some of the cash rents come down a bit, and a bit is like $20 per acre. But again, they went up considerably, and that $20 decline doesn't match what has happened to the price decline. So we are in a price cost squeeze, and that cost, those higher elevated costs have caused our break-evens to be relatively high. So when we do our budgets, we see break-even prices for covering all cost, 460 for corn, 450 to 460 for corn, um, and that to cover total cost, and that's including a cash rent in there. If you don't have a cash rent and it's owned land, you'll have lower, but still we're looking at 460, 450 if you're renting land, and we're not looking at prices at those levels. So that's our issue, and the same thing for soybeans. When we do our budgeting, we see $11 is sort of the break-even price, given usual yields, and our bids are well below that, in sort of the $10 range right now. So that is what the concern is, and that's going to lead to lower net incomes. When we do budgeting for Central Illinois farms and look at the returns from cash rent farmland, and this cash rent farmland would be sort of the average cash rent level, which is we're projecting 320 in the 320 to 330 range currently. So if we look at that, we've seen losses beginning in 2023 for farms enrolled in FBFM. It was minus $47 for 2023. For 2024, it was minus $42. And that was helped considerably by ECAP payments. And you remember those you got those in spring. $40 for corn, $35 for soybeans, sort of getting that $37 average. If we hadn't had that, we would have had, losses in the $80 range. We put that with the 2024 crop, even though it was received in 2025, because you had to accrue it in 2024. Again, we're projecting for 2025 a minus $36 return, and that includes $65 of commodity title payments. Those will not be received until October 2026, so a year and a month in the future if all things hold. So, and again, those make a big difference, but that $65 in our PLC payments is a ways in the future. And again, we just released 2026 projections, and we're still looking at minus $33 of negative returns, and that is with $50 of ARC and PLC payments. If you look at those, we come up with net income projections of $45,000 per farm in FBFM, Illinois Grain Farm. That's a bit up from $13,000 for 2024. That $13,000 projection, again, FBFM booked that ECAP payment, or put it as a receivable on the balance sheet at the end of the year. So if we hadn't had that $13,000 would have been a minus $30,000. That $45,000 for 2025 includes $65 of PLC and ARC payments, and again, those aren't scheduled to be received till October 2026. So we're just there, right? So $45,000 per farm isn't going to keep most farms without some financial declines. So and that would be erosion of working capital and probably increases in debt to asset ratios. And we saw debt to asset ratios increase at the end of 2025 and likely to consider to keep those into 2026. So that's where we're at. And I guess I'll stop here. Any questions or comments before I go on and tell you some strategies for dealing with it, or what I'm telling farmers at least. None of these strategies obviously can change that situation, but questions or comments?
Anybody have a question for Gary?
Gary, when you do your cost of production projections, what yields are you using? Because that can make a big difference.
Yeah, no, it could. So for Central Illinois, I'm going to pull this up right now. So for corn, Central Illinois, we are using a 246 bushel yield for Central Illinois. We did those budgets in the middle of August. I guess we would be backing off that a little bit now, just given the year we've had. But 246 for 2025, and right now we would plugging in 241 for 2026. For soybeans, we're using 75 for 2025 and 74 for 2026. So sort of have trend yields built into there. Again, we probably had a kind of a rough August built into that, or that might reduce those yields somewhat. Other questions here? If not, here's what we talk about. And again, none of these are silver bullets, but some of the items that we talk about. Number one is take advantage of all the federal programs that are out there, and we will have. There's a disaster program that's working its way around for the 2024 crop. Make sure you go in and check that out. And if you've received a crop insurance payment in the last couple of years, you may be eligible for payments there. I would not be surprised if we saw another ECAP-like program announced in the relatively near future. As those become available, I mean, we're scrapping for cash right now, so you might want to take those and make sure you get all of them. Get close to FSA and think those things through. The second thing that we talk about is maximize profits, not yields. And this probably is most evident in our in fertilizer decisions. And I guess this year I would really reevaluate fertilizer decisions, just as an example. And if you look at what university recommendations would be, for example, for nitrogen, they're sort of in the 170 to 180 pounds of actual N range. We see a lot of farmers well above that. I guess, and actually, when we look at it, and we look at that from PCM data, we do confirm that those university recommendations are where profits are the highest. So if you're above that range, think about lowering back into those university recommendations. I would say the same about P and K. take a look at those soil test values, and if you're well above them, it's probably time to cut back. And again, fertilizers are pretty expensive now, so there's could be savings there. I would say the same with every input. P, K, seed, pesticides, and obviously if we're looking at new equipment, really take a look at those. So again, maximize profits, not yields, and consider backing off some of those input decisions, with fertilizer likely being the one where many farmers could see some cost savings and profit increases. And again, staying within those university recommendations, and in PCM we see 65% of the farms above those university recommendations. And again, just stay within those university recommendations. So, number one, take advantage of every government federal program. Number two, maximize profits, not yields. Number three is reassess land rental strategies. And one of the things that we noticed is that over time we have not seen returns to cash rent farmland increase. And as an example, if we went back to the 1990s, my guess is most farmers would be budgeting for an $80 to $90 return and be happy if they hit it. I would guess that most farmers do the same thing today. Is that if you're looking at if you can get $80 to $90 return, that's a good return. If you're looking at that, farmer return has stayed relatively the same. Cash rents have gone up, as we all know, and they were closer to being even in the 2000, and now, cash rents are 4 times the average farm return. So that actually has a pretty large implication for younger farmers who are trying to use cash rent farmlands as a way of supporting a land purchase. It takes, 4 times the number of acres to support that land purchase compared to 2000 or the 1990s. Again, if you look at the cash rents, they would pretty well match what has happened to the interest payments on or debt payments on land. The other thing that we notice is that it's a boom to bust business, but the busts are getting bigger. Before 2022, we saw cash rent farmland having negative returns in 2013 and 2014. And that was -$3 and -$10. Here recently, we're looking at -47, and then -30s. And so we're burning cash more quickly now than we did back then. And that I think it's sort of surprising given our safety net programs, but it is what it is, and we're burning cash more now. And again, if you're looking at it, we're budgeting the same sort of return in 2026, and I don't know if 2027 or 2028 would be that much different. So just some of the facts. Overall, farmer returns from renting farmland have not increased. We have long periods when returns are below average, and if we're thinking that we're going to get that $80 to $90 return, we can spend many years below it, and we are currently in a period where we're below it, and I'd argue that can continue for a while. So here's what a number of farmers have expressed to me, and that's we're going to farm for a break even in most years and waiting for the high return years in the minority years. And that would have been in 2006, 2008, 2010 to 2012, 2020, and 2022. Those were all really good return periods. Here's what I see. Problem one is when those high income years happen again. And again, I don't know. It could be next week, or it could be 10 years from now. And problem number two, our returns are extremely low now. I mean, we're looking at negative returns on that cash rent farmland, and that's just sort of difficult. So, I guess one of the questions are, what are you going to do with high rent farmland? And if you're in the situation of an established farm with a stable land base and a minority of it is high cash rent farmland, why are you doing that? And I guess I would just say, take a look and see if you let that farm go. And I know that's bad, but if you let those farms go, would you not maybe be better off? And then there are younger operators with high cash rent, and there the question is, how long can you do this? Again, those negative returns are larger now. So if we're in this situation, take a look and see how long can we do this. And I tell all of our students at the University of Illinois who want to go back to the farm is you're going to need another source of cash income. We did that in the past with rented farmland, but with rental rates being where they're at and the risk associated with them, looking for another source of cash income for another producer. And again, most younger producers have this, but it's just a fact of life. We need to look for another source of that cash income. The fourth thing I would say we have to look at is reassess machinery strategies. And cost of new equipment, as everybody knows, really went up in 2019, or since 2019. It's sort of leveled off at a higher level, but it's still a higher level. And, we saw 30% increases in 21 and 2022 during that period. And so really have to look at those machinery strategies. And one of the things that we notice is that the number of tractors on a farm really make a big difference. And I'm talking newer tractors, not your 1970 vintage, but newer tractors. If you're looking at $500,000 for a tractor, 2 versus 3 makes a big difference, and 3 versus 4 makes a big difference. So thinking about the amount of equipment that's needed is important. And I would also, the combines, and again, over $1 million of investment in newer combines. We really have to take a look at those strategies, and spreading cost on those combines is so important. And that has gotten more, not less. So, sharing equipment across farms is one way of making 2 smaller farms look bigger and reducing cost. And, sometimes thinking about custom hiring that operation done, maybe a lower cost alternative than owning that combine. But the machinery costs with those increases and really reassessing those has become more important. So I'll stop there. Again, my strategies are no silver bullets, but take advantage of federal programs, maximize profits, not yields, reassess land rental strategies, and again, we have to really take a closer look at those high rent, cash rent farmlands in particular, and then reassess machinery strategies. So, I'll stop there. Appreciate your time today, and questions or comments or other things we could be thinking about.
Did you save the good news for the end?
Yeah. You know, yeah. No, that's actually the good. There is good news. Most farmers are in strong financial position. So, you know, debt to asset ratios are low. There's working capital out there, but it's being eroded, obviously, pretty quickly. So we do have options. So, yeah, there's where we're at.
Gary Schnitkey here. Could you spend a few minutes and talk about the farm program and maybe even also the crop insurance options, how those are going to work this time?
Yeah, so you signed up for all right, let's back up a little bit. For this coming October in 2024, October 2025, you'll be receiving payments for the 2024 commodity year, and I expect those to be really low. So if most people in this room should not expect any payments for the commodity programs in 2024. For the 2025 year, which you'll be harvesting for now, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act put a new commodity title program in place, which has higher reference prices, and also increased the ARC guarantee from 86% to 90%, and also increased the payment range or the maximum payment from 10 to 15%. This year, and only for this year, you'll get the highest of the ARC PLC payments. And again, we're estimating those to be significant and, you know, sort of at the $65 level per base acre. And that's an average over corn and soybeans, with corn being the bigger part of it. Those, again, will not be received until October 2026. The other, and those were significant increases in the One Big Beautiful Bill. If we're saying we're projecting you're getting $65 per base acre, it would have been roughly $35 under the old 2018 Farm Bill. So it's a real increase. The other thing that will happen this year is that you will increase, or the crop insurance is going to change. First off, there will be a reduction in farmer paid premiums for combo products, your RP products, because the premium subsidies increased. The other thing that changed is they've increased, or the One Big Beautiful Bill increased the subsidy rate from 65% to 80% for, it will be implemented on ECO products. So ECO products their premium subsidy will increase from 65 to 80%. So you'll be making that choice this year, given those things. Now, I don't know if any of you bought ECO at the 95% level, but at an 80% subsidy, I think you gotta take a look at it, and really consider it. I don't think it's a slam dunk even at an 80% subsidy level, because I personally think they got the premium, the rates too high, and their expected yields are too low for an Illinois situation. But come this year, you should look at those. So, you're gonna have to really think about both your commodity title and your crop insurance this year. And the big thing that you're gonna have to think about is whether you add ECO if you haven't done it already. So, yeah, it'll be a year for thinking those things through.
Anybody else? Other questions for Gary? Once, twice?
I got one. What would be the probability of getting, as farmers are bidding for cash rent, that the landlords will have to come down? I guess it takes some people saying they're not gonna pay that high to do that, but
Yep.
I think that'd be
Yeah.
what would happen.
So here, yeah, we've actually seen some reductions in cash rents. But the surveys indicated that they're coming down. Again, they're coming down $10 to $15 per acre. I actually, and I personally think that they should come down more than that, just be where the returns are at. But everybody in this room is reluctant to do that. I think those things won't come down significantly until lenders begin implementing changes that cause farmers not to be able to bid those cash rents. Yeah, I don't think we're there yet this year. That'll take a couple more years, but it's somewhat interesting. I'm doing a couple of sessions with lenders, and they're getting concerned about the weakening cash flow, and so that's, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that happens until farmers stop being willing to pay for it, and that has to be, and that's a hard thing.
Anybody else? Gary, thank you so much for your time, for your patience in, with our technology, and we really look forward to another time in the future when hopefully communication will be a little bit better.
Yeah, anytime, Stu. It was good this evening, and I hope it all worked out and get your technology back together. Technology is a double-edged sword.
We got quite a few people with a lot of notes on their papers here, so your advice was appreciated and very welcome. Maybe not the best that we'd like to hear, but nevertheless, we're appreciative of what you contributed tonight. Thank you, sir. Hope to see you soon.
All right.
Yeah,
See you
thank
soon.
you.
Thanks.